Good morning.
Good morning. It's February 5th, I believe, isn't it? Or 4th? It's February 4th,
Fourth.
2024. And so we're starting off a whole new month. And this is a month of February is always a month of talking about love and relationships. And so we are starting off with some ideas that I learned when I first came into this teaching many years ago. They are New Thought ideas, and Ernest Holmes, our founder, definitely taught them and believed them, and they were so exciting to me when I heard them, because it was certainly nothing I had ever heard from any religious source before. And this, I must say, we're taking this talk from the latest newsletter that our practitioner, Dr. Pamela Gray, writes. And this newsletter, I don't know what the theme of the title of her newsletter is, but she has 3 true thoughts. And as I say, I'm familiar with these, and yet we all need to be reminded. The first true thought is, you have a divine right to be happy. Now, that is something that many people have never thought about, have never believed, and it's a foreign concept to them, that they have a divine right to be happy. And what do we mean by that? What we mean by that is that the divine created all of life, and that the purpose of which was for us to have an adventure and learning and growing and knowing that we have a right to be happy, to
Right.
explore, to expand, to become. And yet, you know, because there is this thing called human struggle for survival and whatnot, many aspects of this human experience are a struggle and are for survival, that the thought that we have a right to be happy never occurs. But when we have that belief that we have a right to be happy, we certainly find ways to feel that and to express that. Because I think that our origins in this country with the Puritans that came over from England, the, you know, happiness was not their concern. Their concern was being pure, being a pure Christian. And so it was much more oriented to punishment for not being pure. And all of what was valued was work, hard work. And so as a country, I believe we are harder working than most people in most countries. Where I visited other countries, they seem to have a much bigger investment of enjoying life. They have more days off, they have more holidays, more family gatherings, and they feel entitled to that pleasure, to that fun. And so when we adopt the idea, the true thought from New Thought, that we have a divine right to be happy, we then give ourselves permission to seek that out. I remember when I finished graduate school in 1986, I'd had my nose to the grindstone for 5 years, and I quit doing anything fun. I quit doing anything that was involved with friends. All I did for the 5 years is work and study. And so at the end of those 5 years, all my friends seemed to have disappeared. Some of my family even disappeared. And I was left with, oh my God, what do I do now? And what did I used to do that was fun? I really had to ask myself those questions and then do those things. I remember I used to like to go to the beach, but I used to go to the beach with my family, and my family was no longer around. And so I had to go to the beach up by myself. And I found that I actually enjoyed that as well. But it was strange to try to remember and do again those things that had brought me a lot of pleasure.
Well, you're talking about being happy, the right to be happy, and you've now connected it to a very important piece, which is what is the course of action that you will choose that will allow you to experience being happy. And so very often we say, I'd like to be happy, but I can't make any of the choices in the direction of happiness. I'm too busy. I have to work too hard. I have these things to do. I was thinking as you were talking, I don't know why, but I was thinking about birds and what it would be like for them if they had to get permission or
To soar
to sing and
and soar.
to soar. Like, I'm sorry, you don't have that right. Actually, if you're built with wings and you're built with a song, then you need to fly and you need to sing.
Yeah.
We're built with enormous opportunities to express ourselves in so many different ways. And so the key to happiness isn't just the decision that I have a right to be happy. It is having made that decision, I have this right. It's a divine right. How will I express that right? And
Mhm.
am I willing to take the time that's needed to develop the skills that I need for that right expression to fulfill itself? So I was talking to somebody recently who said, I like to draw, but and I said, well, when was the last time you drew? And he said, well, it was about 10 years ago. And I said, well, why don't you draw now? He said, I don't have time. And so if you don't have time for your creative expression, and you may not have time for your divine right to be happy, to be expressed. And so today we're really talking about your decision to be happy, which is your decision, as you beautifully said it. What do I do? What did I used to do? What did I like to do? What will be my course of action? And I think an awful lot of our anxiety today, the anxiety that I hear people are suffering with, is they're between no action and what action should I take, as
Mhm.
opposed to this is the action I'm taking, and if I'm uncomfortable with it, I'll get comfortable. I'll develop mastery. I'll get more comfortable as I do more of it. What I see are a lot of people who've been on hold for a long time, and they're uncomfortable being on hold, and they're even more scared of taking themselves off hold. What if I do the wrong thing, or it doesn't work, or people aren't so friendly, or I'm not very good? Well, that's part of this wonderful divine adventure.
Exactly. So I would recommend, even if you have not been having much fun or happiness lately, to start making a list of things that you like to do. It might be going to a museum, it might be going to a play or a musical, a venue or something. And yes, it might take a little money and it might take a little planning, but you have that divine right to be happy. So pleasure yourself. Do that. I mean, again, it goes against that Puritan work ethic to even
Well,
have pleasure.
well, part of that
But
part of that Puritan work ethic too was it's okay to suffer now because the rewards will be in heaven.
in heaven,
And
yes,
so it was really, whether conscious or unconscious, a kind of way to oppress people, but have them live with having been oppressed. I know I'm working 24 hours a day and I slave all of the time, but it's okay because this will qualify me for heaven. And so what we'd like to talk about is heaven on earth. And
exactly.
heaven on earth is your willingness to take advantage of your creative expression in a way that allows you to feel good and to enjoy yourself.
Right. And it's just that idea. If you keep reminding yourself, I have the divine right to be happy, it will encourage you to do things that bring you happiness. So the second true thought is, and this is a very powerful idea to embody, your good cannot be withheld from you. And what we believe in is that consciousness, which is the sum total of your thinking and believing, uh, your consciousness attracts to you the people that are in your lives, the situations that are in your life, and you're good, the things that make you happy, the things that are good for you. That is attracted to you by right of consciousness. That's why it can't be withheld. If it were withheld in one way, it would come to you in another way because your consciousness would attract it. So that's really nice to know that my good cannot be kept away from me. I attract it.
Mhm.
And even if I appear to lose it here, I will get it here. That was an idea also that I learned as with relationships, that you're in that relationship by right of consciousness, and no one can take that away from you if you retain it by means of consciousness, meaning the two of you blend in consciousness. And if you get to where you don't, who wants to be in it anyway?
Yeah. You know, you can have a favorite song, and that song is your song, and you have a right to enjoy it, or you cannot listen. And an awful lot of our good that is available to us is missed because we're not listening, we're not looking. We're not curious about what could be there for me that I could enjoy or I could express myself in or be a part of. So I think we have to be careful to know that your good cannot be withheld from you, but you can withhold yourself from your good. And if you withhold yourself from your good, waiting for the right time to express or to be open to your good, when that time comes, it may be shaky enough for you that you don't quite know how to do it or don't feel safe doing it. So we have to be willing to allow our good to come to us and to invite it and to say thank you. One of the most powerful prayers we can possibly have in favor of our good unfolding for us is thank you. Gratitude, being grateful for everything that we can be grateful for, invites our consciousness to pay more attention to more things to be grateful for. And that opens our consciousness to this universe that we live in that we often don't see. So, it's interesting living in an area now where we have quite a bit of light from the town or from the cities. Because of that light, you can't see the light above us. And so if you go out into the country, like in Montana and places like that, and you look up, the sky is absolutely, in fact, it's a blanket of light.
Mhm.
And I think
A blanket of blue.
well, no, I mean at night.
Oh, at
At
night.
night,
Oh,
it's a blanket
yeah.
of stars,
Oh,
and you would swear there's no stars, given where we live now.
right.
See, I think what happens is as we get more concerned with ourselves and with in the small world we live in, we may not become a very good observer of the larger world, the greater world, the sky that's above us, that's the stars that are there. And so it's a decision we get to make. If my good cannot be held from me and I'm not experiencing any good, am I withholding myself from my good?
I had an experience yesterday where my good was being withheld from me, but it wasn't by the end of our experience. We went for a walk on the beach, which we love to do. We love the sound of the waves crashing. We love the breeze. We love, it's a nice sidewalk to do our morning walk on. And so we had just started our walk and heard this horrible noise blaring, and it sounded like a cheap boombox or somebody's radio in the
It was a
car.
car
And in
radio.
fact, it
Yeah.
was a truck radio. And there was a man who had this blaring rock music. But when it's not amplified correctly, it sounds terrible and was ruining my walk. So I said to him, Is that your radio that you're playing there? And he said, Yes. And I said, it just ruins the whole experience of being at the beach for many of us. And he said, Well, I don't care. I'm not playing it for you. I'm playing it for me. Uh, he wasn't playing it, he was blaring it. And I couldn't wait to get out of there. So we continued our walk and then walked back. But I saw a man checking parking spaces. So he looked like he had some authority. And I stopped him. I said, Are people allowed to play blaring music right here on the beach just because they like it? And he said, No. And so I said, Well, there's a fellow up there who's doing just that. And so he went and talked to him, and by the time we got past there again, it was all quiet on the front. But I just thought, I was so incensed by someone who says, I don't care about anybody else that's here. I'm playing this for me.
So that's really an invitation for us to decide what it is we care about and to assert that caring about what we care about is important.
Yes, I have a right to be happy. I
Yeah,
have a right
right.
to my good walking on the beach.
And I think it's a loud version of something that happens to us all the time, which is that when our good is interfered with, we get out of the way, as opposed to say, I wonder if there's a way that my good could not be interfered with. I wonder if there's a way I could be more present for my good. Your good is not something that is negotiable. And so be careful that you don't allow other people to negotiate your good away from you.
And when you truly believe that what happens to you, it happens for you. There's really nothing that's bad. It can appear bad, but and I had several of those things happen in my life, just when um, I was really wanting to go back to school, to college, and it was the first time I'd wanted to go back to college since I was, 20 or so, and I was 37, and just at that time the company I had been with for 13 years, and I had a franchise and whatnot, the company sold to another owner, and they changed the whole marketing plan, doubled the prices of the products, which were cosmetics, with no supporting price lists or things for our customers. So suddenly we were supposed to charge our customers double with no supporting price lists to say we weren't making that up. And just as you can imagine, the company went bankrupt, and that's what the intention was, to bankrupt the company so that they could reorganize. And so it appeared to be a loss. It appeared to be a franchise that I'd paid for then and worked for a number of years, and I was losing it. But I knew that what I really wanted to do was to go back to college. And so I thought, well, this is timely. What a convenient way for me to step out. So, so I really never viewed it as a loss for me, because nothing can take away your good. My good was I want to go to college. This gave me the opportunity.
I've often heard that saying, and I'm sure you've heard it too, when one door closes, another door opens.
Yes,
Sometimes that door opening doesn't open as quickly as the one that just closed. And so it looks like you're locked out. And when we feel locked out from our good, we need to practice patience. And at that point also say, let me say thank you for all the things that have happened to me, for all the doors that have been open. And let me have patience for the one that is opening for me now.
exactly. So remember that statement, whatever happens to me happens for me.
Even if it doesn't feel that way.
Even if it doesn't feel that way, it is for your highest good. It may be another, what do we call it? Another friggin' growth experience.
Yeah. I remember when I was getting a root canal, the dentist was telling me this, that it's happening for you, not to you. I was holding onto the chair for dear life, thinking it wasn't for me. It was to me or at me. So what's the third one?
The third true thought is abundance is your natural birthright to experience. And now that's something that I didn't grow up with, and you may not have either from your parents. You know, we were told the things probably you were told too. You know, money doesn't grow on trees, you know. And my mother used to show us the Indian head pennies that she saved as a little girl when she had no money. They lived on farms; they didn't really
They
need
would be
money.
worth something now.
But boy, she saved those Indian head pennies, and because they were going to be worth something one day, she said. And so I used to just think about her and how much she gave up, that she, you know, never got to go buy a Coca-Cola or a candy bar or penny candy or anything like that. And that but she didn't know that her natural birthright was to experience abundance. You know, when you grow up in the Depression, you don't know that. But still, you know, they had food. They had, and my mother was born and grew up partially in the Ozarks in Arkansas, and they used to cool their milk in the creek. The creek was their refrigerator in those days. So it's really interesting. You know, they ate from their garden, and they cooled in the creek, but they had all their needs met. So isn't that abundance, really?
Mhm. Well, we have to, I think, interpret, if we will, for ourselves what abundance is, what it looks like. We may be suffering from a short-sighted view of our own experience, and rather of what's available to us and what's happening for us. So it's really a time to examine how abundant is my life right now, and am I missing some of that abundance? One thing that you have a capacity to do is to love abundantly, to care abundantly
Mhm.
for other people. You have an abundance of love within that, if you express it, will grow and multiply and add to your well-being. We often don't think of that. I know people that are waiting to love someone, but not until they run into the right person. And what you notice when they're doing that is they don't seem right for anyone. They're on guard. They're suspicious. I'm disappointed. My good isn't happening. So they've stopped loving anyone or anything, waiting for that love to come to them so they can say yes. And so practice, if you will, making space for the things that you know are yours, even if they're not present at this exact moment.
Yes, exactly. And abundance, we tend to think of abundance as money, but I was talking to Bob this morning about, well, what if, when you're born as a baby, you don't have money, you don't think of money, and yet a baby generally has all of its needs met. There are others that provide it. So if we just don't think of money, just think about the way our universe is created. We don't have a shortage of anything. There's no shortage of stars. There's not even a shortage of galaxies. We can't even count all the galaxies. But I think 100,000 was the last number I heard
More
that
than
we
that.
have. But
Yeah.
we can't see to the ends of time or space. So there doesn't appear to be any. And that's pretty amazing to contemplate. And when you look at how our Earth is created and how wonderfully it works with the species that thrive and do well, and even the species that fade away. We always still seem to have plenty of species for the
Mhm.
for what the earth provides for them to eat and enjoy. And we just, if you look at that, we have abundance everywhere. And so why do we even limit our abundance to money? You know,
Mhm.
uh, we have an abundance of friends, abundance of people in our lives.
And if you're experiencing a time in your life where that doesn't seem to be true, the question could be, is there nothing there for me? Or am I keeping myself from my own good? Am I
Oh,
keeping,
now am I keeping
yeah,
myself?
yeah. So if I'm limiting myself, I've noticed that I can't really experience very much of the outdoors until I go outside. I noticed that there are people sitting inside saying, yes, it used to be nice to be outside, but not anymore. So if you're lamenting the loss of something that you don't have to have as a loss, then it's time for you to say, let me see if I can do that. If you're getting older and it's harder to walk, then you may not be able to walk as far. If things are limiting you in one area, do they have to limit you in every area? And so I think we have to constantly work on the premise that we live in an abundant world. Our good is not being withheld from us, and we have a divine right to be happy. If we could say those three things on a regular basis and ask ourselves when we say those things, if we don't believe them, why don't we believe them? What is it we need to change in order for that to be true?
Exactly. Because most of what keeps you from being happy is going on right here.
Mhm.
It's in
Yeah.
your own thinking that's keeping you from being happy. It's not a person, place, or thing that's keeping you from being happy. It's what you're thinking about it. So since we get to choose our thoughts and we get to change our minds, which is very powerful, uh, let's do that, and if it is to be, it's up to me. You are the captain of your ship.
I love it.
So those are the three true thoughts from New Thought
Right.
that
And
we
again,
shared with you today.
I want to thank Pamela Gray, who put this together in her True Thought
Newsletter.
newsletter.
Mhm.
And and what I know when I look at this was a gift from her to us, but it was a gift that was available because we said yes. Because we said yes to the gift. We said yes to the possibility of being nurtured and supported by more people than we had even imagined possible. Every time something good happens to you or for you, you're going to notice that there's other people involved and other things involved that make it so.
And Pamela is actually going to teach a class in March that's on a Saturday, 3 hours on a Saturday with this theme. If you have anyone who you think might be interested, check in with me and I'll tell you more about it.
Okay, so we're going to
So
go to
we're
share
going to.
screen.
Mhm.
Perfect. For those of you that would like to support our organization and our center here, feel free to do that by going to our website.
CSLPalmBeaches.org. And that stands for Center for Spiritual Living, of course. And on that site, you'll see a place right here, the button at the top that says ways to donate. So it will show you ways that you can donate. Uh, many of you who are watching today do this on an ongoing basis, a regular basis. So you don't have to do it every day, every week. So thank you so much. We appreciate
We
that.
do.
And let's say this affirmation because we believe it's true and this makes it work in our lives. My investment today is made with the full realization that God is the source of my supply and returns it to me enriched and multiplied. And so it is.
Stop share. Okay. And we're going to end the talk.